Hey everybody, welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, she is Hope. This is episode 90. It's our last real-ish episode of the year. And
wow.
yeah, episode 90. We're like almost to 100.
So we've been kind of off for a couple weeks. We had a supercut in last week because it's been quite a time.
I know you all enjoyed that one.
It has been quite a time since Thanksgiving. Daniel turned 40. How's 40 going so far?
That's all I got.
A nice big sigh. So let's see here. We have had, for those of you longtime listeners, you know that we have frequent power outages around here. And we got served with not one, but two within a 2-week period. So 1 week we had it, I think it was Wednesday, then the very next Friday, power outage randomly, almost all the county. None of the lights were working in town. The first outage was about 24 hours. And how long was the second outage?
It was like 14 hours or something like that.
So we've had to throw out groceries twice, which is super fun. So that's been great.
I got to sit at home both times in the cold.
It was very cold. Basically, I feel like this December around these parts has been acting more of like January, February type weather. Like it got cold fast. And as you guys know, if you follow me on my personal Instagram, I basically complain like all fall. Like, why is it still feeling like summer? Why am I still running in a t-shirt and tank top, in mid-November? And then Thanksgiving hit, got colder, and then bam, really cold. And of course, we would lose power on the coldest days of the year, because why wouldn't we?
And we lost it in the middle of the night, so we wake up and it's like cold. And
so cold.
And the second time, I woke up, took the dog out, fed him, went back to bed, and didn't even notice the power was out.
It was when I got up. See, I was sleeping on the couch for another thing that we'll get into that we've been
She's in trouble.
No, that's not it. It's more like I can't breathe. But so I get up off the couch. I go to the bathroom. I turn on the bathroom light, not working. And I'm like, okay, the light's just burned out. I go to the hallway. That's not working. And I'm like, hey, Daniel, did the power go out again? So then he pulls up the map, and it's the exact same situation that it was the week before. So that was like the worst version of what's the movie, like Groundhog's Day?
Yeah.
It just seemed like you're living the same day again. And the second time it went out, I was sick. We've been dealing with illness. So I did not feel very good to begin with, which I blame on the first outage. I think that they say you can't get sick from being cold, but it can lower your immunity. And you would not convince me otherwise that did not lower like my defenses, and that I ended up with like what I can only describe as the new plague going on. So we had that, and I got to deal with that with being cold. So that's been fun. Let's see here. What else have we been dealing with?
We replaced a segment of our water line coming into our house.
I completely forgot about that.
Before Thanksgiving. That was
before your birthday.
That was a lot of fun. Gosh, what else?
But that's why I was on the couch sleeping, because I have not been able to breathe very well with this plague going around. So I was out on the couch, blissfully unaware that the power was out. So again, those of you longtime listeners, if you are keeping track, I've lost track at this point.
I have too. I've completely lost track over the years.
But it's also been an okay time turning 40, right?
Sure. You watched Star Trek with me, so that was nice.
I did, and I didn't put that in the show notes either.
We're going to talk about Star Trek right off the top of the show.
So you want to lose all of our listeners?
I do. Particularly one of our listeners. I want him to get bored immediately.
Oh, Nice Fowl. Shout out to Nice Fowl. Let's circle back to Star Trek later. We got to talk about some Christmas stuff. We did do some fun things. Once our power came back on, we went back out into the cold, but for fun purposes, to go see the Christmas lights, do a little Christmas fun.
You see, everybody, what was fun about that was that I spent the entire day at home in the cold. The heat comes on, and I get about 45 minutes of heat, and then I've got to go outside to a walking Christmas light thing for a couple hours. So that day when the power was out, I finally got warm at about 11:30 p.m.
But you did have fun at the Christmas lights.
Yes, cold fun.
Cold fun. But it's like our own little Hallmark movie.
It's a Hallmark adjacent, sure. It's small town America is not exactly what a Hallmark depicts.
But the park all lit up with the lights.
Yes, it looks very nice.
Hallmark-esque. It's very fun. So speaking of Christmas is, right, it's very soon.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Sound more joyful.
Okay. Joyful.
Well, do you want to get into some of the Christmas movies that we have been watching during our hiatus?
I will attempt to recall them because I feel like it's been forever. The Hallmarks this year fell off a cliff, it feels like.
Well, let's talk about Netflix first.
Okay. Oh.
So we had another Netflix Christmas movie that we watched starring Lindsay Lohan and the guy that plays Ezra on Pretty Little Liars. I don't know what his name is. I think it's like Ian Harding, I want to say. And that movie was called Our Little Secrets. So, Daniel, do you want to kick us off with the plot of that one?
I think I can. So, guy and girl being Lindsay Lohan's character,
very good,
are high school sweethearts. I was unclear of their relationship.
I feel like they were childhood friends that grew into love. So like high school, young sweethearts. But then her mom died, so she got really depressed.
Dead mom, drink.
And then she wanted to take a job opportunity and move away from town and try to deal with the grief that way. He was not I did not like him from the get-go.
No.
Because he got really drunk and was really unsupportive and was like, you need to stay
who's
here
doing the recap
and blah,
here?
blah, blah. Well, you weren't doing a very good job at it,
so anyway,
I
I just asked their relationship ends on a sour note when she decides to leave to go abroad.
Oh, and he asked her to marry her.
And he asked her to marry her
to get her to stay
in front of everybody to get her to stay, and she at her party at her going away party, and she's like nah, and so she leaves, and then 10 years go by, and so then we meet them each individually on their own with new partners
and new jobs.
New jobs. She's back in America apparently. Going to the family of their new partners. And look, it turns out that they are dating brother-sister.
What are the odds?
Go to the same place. They make a pact to just pretend like they've never
bad idea.
Met before. And of course, it goes all wrong. And they end up together at the end.
You glazed over where I said Kristen Chenoweth was the mother of the kids that they are dating.
Yeah, I don't do casting in my recaps.
The original Glinda from Wicked. Still on my Wicked kick. Who's surprised? Well, it was really funny because they referenced how young Kristen Chenoweth looks throughout the movie. That was a funny scene.
I don't remember that at all.
You are a piece of work right now. You're acting so tired, and you've had how much caffeine today?
I would rather not say. I would rather not disclose that information.
You had a pot of coffee, 2 cups of iced coffee.
I believe I've had over 500 milligrams of coffee today so far.
Yeah, this is the type of guy that with all this caffeine, he could just shut his eyes and fall asleep. Whereas I could even have cough syrup that makes me sleepy, no caffeine, and it takes me at least 2 business days to fall asleep. What's it like to be the favorite?
It's not bad.
Anyway, back to this movie. Bad idea at the beginning. Would they know each other? Because she's dating the son. He's dating the daughter, who's a bit younger, which I thought was funny because Ezra on Pretty Little Liars was the teacher that dated the student. And I'm like, is this guy just date the young gals? I don't know. And that's just a bad idea. I understand it was the whole shtick of the movie, but you should have been honest and upfront and be like, oh, we know each other. We're both from this small town. We dated or had a situationship. He even proposed to me. There's definitely a history there. So one of my favorite things about these Hallmark type, or I guess now Netflix Christmas movies, is just casual cheating. I feel like that just gets glazed over by the happiness and joy. Now, they don't actually kiss or anything, but you can tell the feelings are still there. And
well, I have to ask a question.
Yeah. What?
This was maybe the most contentious weird thing for me in this entire movie. When they get there, at some point, they are asked to go get the family Christmas tree. As in
weird.
The girlfriend of the brother and the boyfriend of the sister,
have never met.
who have allegedly, from their perspective, never met. They're like, you two go get the Christmas tree.
That's weird.
What?
And you can tell the mom, like, she was definitely, like, she has, her son, a mama's boy. So she's, like, really hard on Lindsay Lohan's character. Yeah. But she loves, I'm just going to call him Ezra because I don't know what his name is in the movie. She just loves Ezra. She just loves him. The daughter's boyfriend, to the point where she was even like, you should ask, whatever her daughter's name is, to marry you. Or yeah. And it's that was a frustrating plot point. But yeah, see, like, okay, so if you guys asked like me and Sam, my brother-in-law, to go get like a tree, I don't think that'd be weird because we've known each other forever. But if like that was the first time I was meeting your family, and like if we by some time continuous spectrum, Sam was around at the exact same time that I had met, like, whatever, because we met Sam obviously when we were already
Everybody knows
married.
the metaphor
but anyway,
you're going for here.
like that would have been weird. I don't think it would be weird now, but yeah, that's odd, very unusual. And again, they always do the trope of like, okay, so we're gonna make something wrong with the son. He's a mama's boy. He clearly has feelings for his other girlfriend. Yeah, not totally into the relationship, so we can justify Lindsay for that. But I feel like they didn't do a good job like justifying the girl, the daughter, like, other than that she was young and an influencer type. Like, what was her like flaw? Like, that she was just young and still wanting to, like, I don't even know if she was on a party, but just like, I don't know. Like it was that. What was her flaw?
They didn't try. They didn't even try to do anything.
And they just really glazed her. We didn't really get to see that breakup.
Like, we didn't get to see any resolution of that from a breakup or what she was doing afterwards. It was just like,
we're just the whole side plot with the parents are cheating. So like the dad is cheating with the friends of the daughter that the son actually likes and still hooked up with, and then the mother, Kristen Chenoweth, spoiler alert again, later she gets with the dad anyway. So it was like the old partner.
They're not Don Cheadle.
It's not in Mean Girls. It's the first podcast lore. For those of you that have stuck with us at the beginning, Don Cheadle is not in this movie, but the guy from Mean Girls is. I do think that this was the best of the Netflix Christmas movies. While Hot Frosty was the most ridiculously fun, The Merry Gentleman, terrible, awful F. This one was the best acted. Like, they did with what they could with the script.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I agree with on everything you said. If I had to rewatch one of these three, it would still be Hot Frosty.
I think I'm going to agree with you there that I would watch the ridiculousness of Hot Frosty again, even though this was probably the better, like, standalone movie from an acting perspective. You thought it was boring?
It was just boring. Like,
because you knew you always know they're going to get together in the Hallmark
yeah,
movies.
you do. But the like all of the situations they put them in that are supposed to be like these funny shenanigans just were
like eating
bland.
The gummies. You didn't think that was funny?
They were just bland. They weren't entertaining at all.
I didn't love the dog part where she would feed, because I have a dog and I'm very protective of my dog, and I don't think it's crazy to be obsessed with the health of your dog. I did not find that part funny. With like the whole
that was weird
and inducing vomiting.
I think maybe the funniest one was her being high at church.
Yeah, that was probably the funniest one. I didn't think the Alzheimer's grandmother was very funny either.
No, and they were really trying hard to play that off as funny. Like, they were very intentionally
just taking it too seriously,
making that supposed to be a very funny thing, and I was like, this isn't funny at all.
From an acting standpoint, though, this was the best acted one, but I think, like, I'm definitely going to agree with you. If I would go back and rewatch, I'm just going to rewatch the ridiculousness of Hot Frosty.
By the way, I'm not going back to rewatch any of these ever again. None of these are becoming
You've watched Holiday in Handcuffs like 4 times with me over the years.
None of the movies we're discussing at this moment. Savannah, calm down. None of the movies that we are discussing at this moment would I ever go back and rewatch again. They're not going to become part of the Christmas pantheon of movies that we watch. Would you agree with that?
I might watch Hot Frosty again. Just because it was so crazy. Anyway, let's get into some Hallmarks. I'm going to have to pull up my app to even remember what we watched, because we watched a lot of these while I was on my cough meds.
And ladies and gentlemen, I want to say I need to get cough medicine Hope on this podcast one day because she is a trip.
Nuh-uh. You said I was quiet.
Until you're not.
Example.
I had a whole conversation with you about the things that I bought that I repurchased at the store from the throwing them out from the power, and then I had to have that conversation with you twice.
Do you know how many times I have to have conversations with you, not twice, but thrice, simply with your brain because you can't remember anything?
I have no recollection of what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's kick this baby off here. We watched Christmas with the Saints. Am I saying that right?
I'm just going to say it right now. I swear we already talked about this one.
We didn't.
But if we didn't, I'll admit to being wrong. If anybody wants to fact check us.
Why you are thinking that
I think we talked about it.
We had started it and we hadn't finished it yet the last time we recorded. This one took us a good piece to finish.
I didn't watch all of this one.
You didn't watch all? You watched some of it, right?
I did not watch all of this one, no.
Okay, well, what do you remember about it? And then I'll jump in and fill in the plot.
The Indian family, they're Christians, and the only reason I say that is because they were like hammering it home.
They brought it up like 50 times.
Okay, so she's a nurse. She runs into somebody she went to school with.
High school with, who was like a jock in school.
They date for
He's a sports writer now.
Okay. They date for an entire year. And then she decides to bring him home for Christmas, and her whole family is just massively rude about it. I didn't finish the movie, but I take it that didn't get much better.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I didn't like it. So you failed to remember that he proposed, so they're engaged.
Oh, okay.
So it starts off, her dad's already mad because he had never met this or even talked to this person. She's like, oh, you got my dad to say yes. So the dad's already upset about that. I do think it's really weird to date someone from a year and propose and you never meet the parents. Like, that is odd to me. Like, I'm not saying that you need to be traditional and ask for like the father for the daughter's hand in marriage or whatever, but to never meet the parents is strange. Which I guess maybe if they don't live like close to their hometown and they're far away, it's odd to me.
The more I hear about relationships and marriage and stuff like that, I realized that we were just children when we got married, and so our babies. Concept of how all this stuff should work is probably skewed by that fact.
Though typically the parents meet the fiance at least once.
Oh no, I'm not arguing.
They
with
had
that.
I felt like they didn't even know that they were dating or something. It was.
I met your parents like 3 weeks into it. I met your parents, I think, before we were even dating, just because we were in school together, and there they were bringing snacks, and I wasn't going to turn down snacks or dinners. Yeah,
you met them like. Probably like a cross-country meet.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. I'm just saying I think it's odd to have a fiance. And they acted like that they didn't even know that the people had like dating the other person. Like it was the first time any of them have communicated, not by phone or anything. That is weird. I'm sorry. That's odd. And if like my child came home, my grown child came home and was like, oh, well, not only have I been dating someone for a year, but I have a fiance and I had never heard about this, I'd be a little weird about it too. I don't think I would be awful like her family is. So her family is just right off the bat terrible. And they have all of these traditions. And this might be triggering for some people. I see on TikTok that a lot of people have like problems with their in-laws, like adapting to traditions and everything. That's what basically this movie was about. And like her family didn't want to change like anything. And then she was getting irritated with him. His family was more go with the flow, but then they do kind of get irritated at one point. Like, okay, we always do this, like, the mom always does this Christmas play, like, so there was these, like, arguments. I was half asleep throughout a lot of it.
Did his parents get back together in the end?
They definitely indicated that they were going on a date at the end. Yeah, his parents are divorced. Other plot point. And they totally did indicate that they were going to get back together at the end, which you said you didn't want that to happen.
No.
Because it's unrealistic.
Correct.
So finally, at the very end, her parents come around and they blend the traditions, and then they all have a really, I guess, Merry Christmas. But it was just contentious for no reason. Like, they were messing with him at dinner. Like, they gave him extra hot Indian food. To just,
granted, he was eating it on purpose, and he was trying, like, super hard.
He was trying hard basically the whole time. And then,
I think he was trying a little too hard at times. Like, they warned him
her dad was scary.
Well,
I don't know. It was just this one was, F minus F. whatever. The lowest grade I could give this
G.
one. So moving on through this list, we also have a 90s Christmas. Care to catch us up with that one?
Time travel?
Yes.
This one was like,
Not
I did
good.
not like this.
I didn't
No,
like
no,
it
no. It's
either.
not even. No. It's not even a quality situation. I did not like the resolution of this
either.
story.
Well, first, give us the plot.
So the lady lives in big city. Duh.
Chicago.
Has put off her family because she is big, high-powered lawyer. I think she's
like a
made.
divorce
She just made partner.
Yes.
And she ends up meeting her old boyfriend from high school in a diner, a situationship. I'm sorry, excuse me. Is that the new fad of 2024?
Yes.
Situationship?
Yes.
And so she meets him and then leaves and gets into a cab, which isn't a cab. It's actually a time travel machine. I think the person who's driving her in this thing that time travels her and heckles her throughout the film is a ghost of Christmas past gone rogue.
Yeah.
You know how in the movie from a few years ago with Carl Winslow's character in it, we learned there are multiple ghosts of Christmas present, past, and future.
Yeah.
And
multiple people have been Scrooged.
Correct. So I think this is an individual ghost of Christmas past that has broken off and formed her own splinter cell.
Okay.
And she took her back in time.
We need the TVA to get her out of there.
To the 90s, in her 90s body. And took her to a very formative, the first Christmas after her dad passed away.
Yes.
Which was
dead
parent drank, and very close to when she made decisions about like what she was going to do with her future, blah 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 blah.
Well, she was out of high school already. She had taken a year off, and like he was getting ready to he wanted to go to acting school or something. So in the future, he was married and divorced.
Correct.
To a girl that we also randomly meet in the past.
What gets me about this one is she lives through all this time. She tries to change things, then doesn't change things, then tries to change things, and then somehow ends up, she just gets to relive it all again.
Yes.
She's not transported back to the future.
Yes.
She just actually lives for that 20 years again and gets a do-over.
Yeah, that was what bothered me. So she has the letter that she made partner with that still, she can still see it when she's back in the 90s. And anytime she changes something in the timeline, bits of the letter disappear. And she's like, okay, to keep this letter intact, I can't change anything. But then she realizes, no, I want to change things. And this is what the problem that we both had with this. Scrooge doesn't get a redo. He doesn't hook up with his boo from long ago. We don't see that woman.
He has to live with the consequences of his actions.
Yes.
But he has given the opportunity to change himself going forward.
For the future. And that's a good story. This, she basically got, like you said, a redo, a second chance. So I would have been more at peace with this if she said, okay, fine, and she goes back to Chicago. When I'm back in Chicago. Okay, anyway. That's the way my brain works. Sorry. So she is back in Chicago, back in the future, and she reaches back out to her old situationship. And she decides at that point that she wants to change. She wants to reconnect with her family. She wants to go home with Christmas.
Yeah.
She wants to spend more time. That would have been satisfying. But basically, we are led to believe that if she hadn't changed the timeline, that her sister would be single and unhappy and not living probably her truth. And that her mother would still be depressed. Basically, we are led to believe that it's if she didn't make these choices, he would have never gone to acting school. All these people's lives were her fault. So that was really weird, a weird flex. I did like it that they didn't go over the top with 90s references. They didn't beat you over the head with it. You could tell the clothing was a little bit different, but that could have been for budgeting purposes. However, they did make the Friends reference. What was her nickname? He called her Lobster all the time. Oh, Lobster,
yeah. We nailed that one.
We nailed that immediately. And then he brought up how getting ready to watch Friends or something. And we're oh, they're going to be he's her lobster, which you and I do that reference for each other. You are my lobster.
She had all this foreknowledge of the future. Do you think she used it in any way for good or for evil?
I don't think so.
So she didn't warn anybody about 9/11?
You got really dark. Very
Just say she didn't buy any Bitcoin, didn't buy any stocks, because she even told her friend to buy Apple stock.
She did do that?
Yeah.
I don't do the claws again for the lobster. But you admit it, we have that reference for each other.
We do, yes. And that's why, when he first said that, I immediately thought that's where he was going. Because he said it and then he just played it off like it was nothing.
Yeah, she basically wakes up and she's married to him. They have kids. I'm like, do you remember having these babies? It was stupid. Dumb.
It was dumb.
Did not like it.
Next.
F. Get ready for Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. Kick us off, Daniel.
I hate this so much. I hate it. I mean, what else? What is there to say? There's a magic toboggan hat. There's the Chiefs. There's a contest.
About what family's the biggest Chiefs fans.
Which is the contest between a house with a bunch of lights,
which looks stupid,
a cat that's dressed up as a Chiefs fan,
Patrick Mahomes,
and this family that has a magic hat.
If they don't wear the hat, the Chiefs lose.
If they don't wear the hat, the Chiefs don't make it to the Super Bowl.
That's what it is. They don't make it to the Super Bowl, so
correct.
It doesn't guarantee all wins.
Correct.
Okay, so anyway,
if they don't wear it on Christmas Day, the Chiefs don't make it to the Super Bowl.
Got it. Don't wear it on Christmas Day this year. Wink, wink. Anyway, I got to tell you something. Your mom messaged me the other day and said that apparently Hallmark's headquarters are in Kansas City. She's like, I think that's why they did this movie. That might be true, but that's not why they did this movie.
That's not why they did this movie.
They did this movie because of one Miss Taylor Swift, who is, yes, the Kelsey brothers were popular before there was Taylor, but she is, let's call it what it is, catapulted them to extreme popularity. And this is Hallmark just wanting a piece of that pie. They want a little bit of that. So of course we got Donna Kelsey. Was Donna Kelsey herself in this? Because they called her Donna the whole time. So I'm to assume that Donna Kelsey moonlights at the barbecue place that her set of grandparents work at.
I did not.
Because Donna Kelsey also was working at another place in the Philly Hallmark movie that I watched.
I understand that they called her Donna. I don't believe she was canonically playing herself in either of those
Didn't
two
she
films.
show up on the field again?
For some reason. No one knows why.
Donna Kelsey just decides to work random jobs.
No, can I just say one thing about Donna Kelsey before we move on to this movie, the rest of this movie?
Yes.
She was not the worst actor in this movie.
Correct. Now, with the whole hat plot point, and so basically she's dating the guy that works for the Chiefs, and he just has a job with the Chiefs. He's not a Chiefs super fan. And that happens in real life, people, believe it or not. And he meets her when he's going out to try to get some culture about the town, but then later he finds out he has to judge at this contest. So they were all nice, rolling out the red carpet for this dude, giving him their special pudding, all these things, and then they tell him about the hat thing, and he just kind of makes a joke about it. Shunned. They temporarily shun him, even the daughter. Now, I know that I can be a little crazy, as some say about sports. I've heard that. I'm not that insane. I wouldn't write somebody off completely about my lucky hat. Come on. Would I be that crazy?
No. This was nuts.
So they were crazy.
Yeah. And the movie just proceeds from there. They try to win the contest. They win the contest. They lose the hat.
And Santa
has the hat.
Santa's a
Chiefs.
What's up with Santa messing with people?
I don't know.
So then it turns out they decide to give everybody, because it's about what the hat represents.
So they come up with 100,000 knit vintage Chiefs hats to give to everybody at that game randomly out of nowhere.
All I know is that I hope the Chiefs do lose on Christmas Day. Here we go, Steelers.
Oh,
baby.
yeah, and you pointed out the most egregious thing. They didn't even play the Steelers.
Yes, and that is the game that the Chiefs
They didn't even get the team they were playing this year correct.
Come on, folks.
I don't know what they're trying to do.
Do you remember at the beginning of the year when I was like, until the Chiefs personally impact me, I don't care. They're about to personally impact me, even though we already clinched a playoff spot. And the NFL hates the Steelers because of our brutal stretch of schedule. Come on, folks. I could rant about that all day. But I don't have a lucky hat. Maybe get me a lucky hat to wear.
I can't get you a lucky hat. You have to go find it from a
true.
random
From
a Bell
Claus.
Santa outside of a store somewhere.
There was the year you got me Antonio Brown's jersey, and then he went crazy. Like, within days of me receiving this item. Do you remember that?
See, I'm only able to get you cursed items.
I guess so. Juju Smith-Schuster. A lot of good I have with that jersey.
I told you, coming from a long-time terminal Browns fan, never, ever buy a named jersey from a player until they are retired without scandal and incident. Then get one.
So Donna Kelsey also showed up in a movie that I watched without you, and I'm trying to find, I think it's called Christmas on Call. Got to pull up on my app here.
I saw parts of this one.
Took place in Philly. You watched part of this? I thought I watched this when I was sick.
High on cough syrup.
Do you remember any of this?
It's like all the different service.
Oh,
ER nurse, firefighter.
The cops.
He's an EMT and a firefighter. The cops.
And she's a doctor.
She's an ER doctor.
This has Aunt Jenna from the Vampire Diaries as the doctor.
They're all on call. They flirt with each other. Finally get together.
In Philly.
It's all in Philly.
And
Donna Kelsey's there.
Yeah, I
serving
actually made the remark.
Cheesesteaks.
I was like, well, Donna Kelsey, she should show up in Philly too because the whole Jason Kelsey connection. And then she did.
What NFL teams will they make Christmas movies about next year?
Christmas with the Brands.
Jameis Winston plays in the snow.
He did sing Jingle Bells.
That's true.
Other than the outcome of that game, for me personally, that's been the most fun NFL game to watch all year.
Yeah, it has been.
It had everything. It had pageantry drama. Neither team wanted to win. There was snow.
Classic.
It was great, minus the outcome.
I like the outcome.
Okay. Your team has been eliminated from the playoffs.
You're saying this like it's not something I know how to accept.
Anyway, I don't really remember much else about Christmas on Call. They just hung out and did things in Philly. Didn't the fire chief almost die?
Yeah, they had to save him for some reason.
There was not a drama betwixt the couple.
No.
It was about just their jobs.
Yeah. Boring.
It was another Love Actually kind of thing. Boring. What else did we watch together? Oh, Lacey. She also did her Hallmark movies. She was in Hot Frosty. She was in a movie called The Christmas Quest. And this one, I don't think I was feeling very good when we watched this one either. And you got to fill me on the plot because all I remember was magical gnomes.
The Yule Lads.
The Yule Lads.
You don't remember the Yule Lads? So think very bad Indiana Jones in Iceland.
Is Lacey Indiana Jones or is that
in
her
this
husband?
situation? She is Indiana Jones.
It's her ex-husband, and they have to work together.
At the last minute before Christmas, they have the opportunity to track down some treasure of the Yule Lads.
It's like Outer Banks. They got to go find the treasure.
But they need somebody who can read these runes, and that's her ex-husband.
Mom used to look for this crap,
yeah, her
right?
mom used to look for this
Dead
crap.
Mom.
Dead mom drink.
And they're divorced because Lacey was so fixated on treasure hunting, it ruined their marriage, right?
Correct. I thought you didn't remember this one.
It's coming back to me now.
So they go. She convinces him to go along with them with rich guy who turns out to be the bad guy.
What country are they in?
They go to Iceland.
Oh, okay. Oh yes, because Iceland is green and Greenland is ice. We learned that from.
Let me ask
Mighty
you a
Ducks
question.
too.
How much of this movie do you remember being green?
Daniel, I'm just spouting off facts from one of the greatest movies of our generation, the Mighty Ducks.
Okay. So anyways, they follow a bunch of clues. There's other people following the clues. They find the treasure, but it ends up being a bunch of junk. And it was just about the friends you make along the way.
But there were no Yule Lads were gnomes.
Oh, no. Where are you getting gnomes?
I don't know. I just made something up.
The Yule Lads were hooligans.
It was just that was weird.
And they and then they indicated they are real and magical at the end. So of course,
that was an odd one. You know what I'm going to say about some of these Christmas movies this year for Hallmark? I would rather just watch them walking around, drinking gallons of hot cocoa and going to Christmas pageants and festivals and building gingerbread, because these are a lot of movies that are set at Christmas time. They're trying to die hard us with these movies. I want to be beat over the head with Christmas. I
saw a TikTok about Die Hard, except it's the Muppets. and they showed everybody cast in the movie except the one who's okay, if you're casting the original Die Hard, who are you casting as the person? Who's the person around all the Muppets?
Like a living actor?
Yeah, it's Die Hard. So the normal cast of Die Hard, the original Die Hard.
I'm casting like Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce Willis is a Muppet. You know, his wife is a Muppet. Now, who's not the Muppet?
But Bruce Willis can't act right now, so would you want me to find...
Oh my gosh. Hypothetically,
okay,
you're just replacing it.
Okay.
Everybody with Muppets except for who's not the Muppet?
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber. Yeah. That would be who the non-Muppet would be. Yes.
Or you can make Hans Gruber like Gonzo or something.
No, it's got to be him, that actor.
Oh.
I know he's dead.
I was going to say that's Snape.
I know he's dead.
He's in another Christmas
Alan Rickman.
movie. Love Actually.
Yes.
He must be mad in that movie.
So, anyways, that was a fun little TikTok. Do we have to talk about any more of these Hallmark movies?
I think that's about it.
Oh, free at last. Well, I can say we're free at last because we've already started watching. We've already started watching our regular Christmas movies, and once we start that process, we don't go back to the Hallmarks.
We've watched The Santa Claus so far. We've watched Four Christmases, highly underrated movie. Four Christmases is great. Can't spell families without lies.
I don't mean to speak ill of your mother on Christmas, but she is nothing more than a common street whore.
Woman, do your job and swaddle this baby. We haven't watched Elf yet. We haven't watched Christmas Vacation. I've watched A Muppet Christmas Carol twice without you, but we'll watch that together later.
Can you just be honest with me? That one is slowly becoming your favorite.
It's not my top favorite, but it's like up there.
It's climbing the ladder, right?
I feel like last year we tried to rank them. It's impossible for me to rank some of these movies because I love them so much. So I have basically a tie for first place with like 5 movies, and it would totally be up there because it has everything. It has, Academy Award winning acting. And we also watched White Christmas over the weekend. That is my favorite old Christmas movie. I love the costumes, the dancing.
Just a couple of song and dance men.
What is the scene that you always laugh at?
Oh, when the Clooney woman is giving it to Bing Crosby because of the confusion.
Yeah.
And he goes, what's he say? He says, like,
Did you eat yet?
Have you eaten today? And it just, like, kills me the way he says it every time because it's every husband that's ever been yelled at by his wife before. Being like, have you eaten today?
My favorite part is still when they do the sisters dance, but they...
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Wallace.
Yeah, it holds up. It holds up as a good movie.
It's a good one.
It holds up. I think anybody who hasn't seen it and is hesitant because of how old it is, give it a shot. I think you'll find. I think you will find it holds up and it's enjoyable.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like a lot of people. Well, and not that I don't like this one, but we did get some responses for a poll that we did about favorite Christmas movies. Would say that It's a Wonderful Life is their favorite old Christmas movie. I think White Christmas blows it out of the water.
I don't even count It's a Wonderful Life as a Christmas movie.
It's more of like a Die Hard type, like set at Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Just at the end, but
exactly.
White Christmas just gives you all the feels. It's so good. So we haven't watched Christmas Vacation yet. We'll save that one for later. That's one of our top favorites. The quoting was very much extreme when we went to the Christmas lights.
Oh, of course.
Like every other sentence, one of us was quoting it. And then I always watch Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2. Got to watch all those. And then while I would put this lower in the list, not for my number one, but A Christmas Story, I will obviously watch that a couple times on Christmas Day.
Yeah, that one's not as big for me. Like, I know a lot of people like it, but it's like...
You like it. It's just not your favorite.
Yeah.
Shut up, Ralphie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will watch Christmas with the Cranks probably. You might watch it with me. Do you like that one? I like that one. It's not my top, but it's one that I watch every year. That was one of the responses that we got. Somebody said was one of their favorite movies.
I don't... Yeah, it's not... I see why it would be enjoyable. It grates on me to a certain extent. I can't get past that. Like, I would not want to live in a neighborhood like that.
Yeah, those neighbors are awful. Like at the end, they're like, "Oh, they all came together to help him out." But I'm like, yeah, why does everybody care that they're skipping Christmas?
Like, I'm just going to tell everybody right now, Daniel would be in HOAs nightmare. You would be at my door every day telling me I'm violating some stupid rule because I'm not going to keep my grass regulation. And yeah, I would hate it.
That's the whole thing. The same person that responded with that said that their actual favorite was the Santa Claus, the original, which we did.
I can respect that.
Watched.
I can respect that.
That's usually the one I kick things off with. And I think it's because it's not probably my top favorites would be Christmas Vacation, Home Alone 1 and 2, A Muppet Christmas Carol, Elf. I kind of have those 4 as my right up there. And then I'd put the Santa Claus probably in that tied 2 slot with some others. Now, I actually do like the Santa Claus 2. You don't like that one as much. That's one I'll watch without you. The Santa Claus 3, that's a whole other animal. It's much more cartoony, but the first Santa Claus it's a classic. How did it feel? It felt like America's Most Wanted. And then somebody pointed out, because there's a Reddit for everything. So there's a Reddit for the Santa Claus franchise, if you will. And I've always noticed that the elves in the first Santa Claus are kind of around town a little bit. I never noticed that there's one at Denny's too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somebody put the pictures of where they are. And that is one thing where I do question the sequels. We were talking about this. In the sequels, he has the de-Santification process because he has to go wife somebody up.
Correct.
But it's a big deal with how the elves are able to travel. Whereas in the first one, Bernard just appears. And then, of course, we have all the other elves just walking around and checking out things. Why is it such a plot point later?
I think if I were a writer and I was asked to put 5 seconds of thought to that, I would say that because of the de-Santification process that's taking place, magic in general is fading, which causes all of the non-Santa characters to lose their ability to travel, which seems to be a pretty major bit of magic to be used there. If I were going to throw my hat into the ring.
I do like Scott Calvin. I think he's cute.
Okay.
Some other responses that we got were, I guess, my nephew saw Red One. That's one of the new Christmas movies out. Have not seen it. Is Chris
Evans and The Rock.
One of the Chris's is in this.
Chris Evans and The Rock are in that. I have not heard good things.
Well, he liked it. And then he said his other favorite would be How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He did not specify which version. There are 3. We have seen the cartoon, the Jim Carrey. We own the other one for some reason, but we have not seen that one.
That's the
Benedict
Cumberbatch one? Yeah, we haven't watched it.
I like the classic cartoon Grinch. That's the one I'm partial to. What about you?
Yeah, because it's very short.
You know what, the Grinch? I think we talked about this.
Oh, he's got a major point. Those Who's are annoying.
So loud.
They're just down there banging on stuff and making a ruckus. He's just trying to sleep.
He's just wanting to live his life, people. And then, of course, like I said, It's a Wonderful Life. The poll that I did a separate poll on Twitter, and Home Alone 1 and 2, I put them together as one entity. It actually won the poll at 36%, with Christmas Vacation coming in second place at 32%, Elf 27%, A Christmas Story 5%, and then the second poll, because they wouldn't all fit, A Muppet Christmas Carol tied with the Santa Claus. No one voted for 4 Christmases or Christmas with the Cranks on that one. Let's see, other movies. I will watch The Family Stone without you. You have seen that one, but you don't like it, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to go. That's depressing.
It is depressing, but it's also funny. And yes, the family is annoying, but I also really like that movie. I can't describe to you why I like it so much. Super Gavin.
Yeah.
Who shows up in every week. I just call him by his friend's reference. Is the most boring brother ever. But Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson's brother, is the fun brother. And I do like the dynamic that him and Sarah Jessica Parker have. I think my biggest beef with that is how, yes, Meredith, her character is annoying, but they're horrible to her. And then her sister walks in, Claire Danes, the Claire Danes version, and they're all so nice to her. So yeah, but I still will watch that one each year. I'll probably watch another Hallmark without you.
We have The Holiday on DVD. I don't think you've watched that one.
Ooh, have you seen The Holiday?
No, I'm not going to either.
That seemed like it was a suggestion to watch The Holiday.
No, it wasn't.
I do really like The Holiday.
It was to give you stuff to do so I can go downstairs and play computer games.
Am I missing any of the majors? We've talked about Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2. What's
No,
your
I don't
favorite
think so.
out of Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2?
When I was a child, I would have Home Alone 2.
Same.
Because of the violence. But now, as I've grown older,
The bricks.
I've realized that the second one is just a knockoff version of the first one. So the first
still
one,
good.
the first one to me is more genuine and true, whereas the second one is just a money grab.
I feel like the second one is still great, and I love it. But I was absolutely the same as you. I remember seeing the second one in theaters when I was a kid. It's like a core memory for me. But the first one definitely is the best one.
I remember me and my cousin, we would watch it at Christmas time, and we would fast forward through all the movie to get to the end to the trap house. Like, that was how much we cared about the rest of that movie.
I can't believe you're not going to talk about Pigeon Lady. She's not a ghost.
She absolutely is a ghost. This is settled. This is known. The Pigeon Lady in Home Alone 2 is a ghost.
Anyway, if we missed any Christmas movies that we haven't talked about, let us know some of your favorites.
Another Christmas in the trenches.
We hope that you guys are enjoying the holiday season. We have been watching some other shows. We did wrap up Dancing with the Stars. The finale aired. Our prediction was pretty much correct. We thought Alona, based on fan votes, might take it in the end, but early on we predicted Joey from The Bachelor. He won. I thought that was fair.
I do too. Yeah, I have no beef with how it went down.
I have no beef with it. I felt like of the freestyles, and I know I'm biased, but I do feel like that upon rewatch, Steven had the best freestyle.
I can agree with that.
So, yeah, there's not much else to say. Like, I felt like Dancing with the Stars kind of went the way we thought it would go.
Yeah.
I'm hoping by the popularity that the show has had that maybe we'll get a spring season or another All-Star season. Ooh, though, they did. Carl Winslow, they did the Family Matters dance because they always bring back the old people.
I know. Well, listen, so this is probably, like we said earlier in the podcast, our last true episode for the year. We know that we've got a couple shows we've been watching, Shrinking, What We Do in Shadows. Those haven't ended yet, so we will talk about them soon. In January when we get back around to regular episodes. But before we get out of here, Hope watched Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and now I need her to let everybody know what she said about that fine film.
Is that when I was on cough medicine?
It was the day after my birthday. You weren't sick yet.
But didn't I tell you the other day on cough medicine that it wasn't that bad of a movie?
Are you retracting already? What did you think of the movie?
It was all right. It was okay. Okay.
She's pulling a rug out from under me here, folks.
Like you do that to me all the time. Anyway. Okay, so Kirk's son reiterates my point from the first one that you made me watch with Ricardo Monto, whatever. Mexican dude. Also, 4 Christmases. I said, so basically Kirk's plot is his son is just a plot point.
Yeah, of course.
And then they reiterated that. And then Kirstie Alley, she wasn't in it, but her character was. That was confusing. So his son is dead. What a waste.
Yeah.
Clear plot point. I don't know which one I would like better. Basically what I'm realizing is that these movies are kind of like a reflection on the aging process and who are you as you age? Are you what you used to be? So that's kind of cool.
The other day when we were talking about this and you were clearly high on drugs, you indicated you were actually looking forward to seeing Star Trek IV.
I did not say that.
The Voyage Home.
Did I really?
Yes, you did.
You're making that up.
I was quite surprised by what you said about it. And you bragged on the film and everything.
Well, before we totally wrap this up, we do have some breaking news in the sports world that I would be remiss not to mention. So, hey, Neil Brown, he's gone. He's gone. He's done. Goodbye. Thanks for the not great 6 years. But guess who's back, baby? Just like a movie. Rich Rodriguez. Can you believe it? Almost 20 years later, the prodigal son is returned to West Virginia. And I think we have differing thoughts on it.
I cannot wait to give you your clown makeup for Christmas.
At first I was like, I don't really want him to be the coach. I was like, we have some better options. But then the one guy, I really wanted the offensive coordinator from Penn State. I thought, that fell through. And I think what that guy was doing was he was leveraging for more money and really to make his name later. And I totally get it that he wanted to go take his team to the playoffs. And, the more I thought about it, the more I came around to the idea. And then I saw the press conference. I saw the Pat McAfee show, and I'm all in, baby. That was the best WVU has ever been, the best era. The times were great. Yes, there was that game, but other than that, like we had a great run. And with Pat McAfee's support and support from those alumni, with Pat McAfee, sorry, that's free. You can't get better than that free publicity that he's basically giving WVU for recruiting purposes. That's good. I just watching Rich Rod talk to the players alone, like where he instantly caught, he's like, I don't want anyone that's going to like lounge in their chair. And I'm like, oh. And then like what he said right away about playing Pitt, like he gets it. And I think it's very interesting that game's going to take place on 9/13, September 13th, 13-9. And I think how he handles that game is going to say a lot. He is getting more money. Now, obviously, he's never going to have as much as like Ohio State or someplace, but he's getting more NIL money. And for me, year zero doesn't exist. You have the funds, go out and get those pieces. He said he's going to make it right, that he should have never left. We'll do it. So I got over the whole like betrayal a long time ago. I really did. Like with the way Michigan treated him, I felt like he got his karma. I'm good with it. I'm saying let's bring it back. I'm excited. He gets it. I feel like it's the culture change the program needs. I've totally come around to it. I'm all in, baby. I'm all in. Let's go.
Well, I hope you're right. I don't think you will be. But maybe you'll be right.
But probably. Let's go, Mountaineers.
All right. Well, that is it for this episode of the podcast. That is it for this year of the podcast. We do have another supercut coming out later, but, it's just a supercut. Yeah. It's not a regular episode. So we will see you all in 2025. And please have a safe and Merry Christmas.
And Happy Holidays. Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.